The city of Lowell. Established in the 1820s along the banks of the Merrimack and Concord rivers as the center of the Industrial Revolution in America, Lowell attracted tens of thousands of people to work in the cotton manufacturing mills. French Canadians, Greeks, Lithuanians, Germans, Irish, Polish, Portuguese, and beginning in the 1880s, immigrants from the Ottoman Empire, especially from the lands of Syria, which today also include the country of Lebanon. They came to labor in the mills in some of the toughest work conditions ever known. Syrians came predominantly to live in the Acre neighborhood, especially in the Triangle area, bounded by Broadway, Suffolk, and Fletcher streets. Within a short period, the community branched out from the mills and opened up their own businesses, and by 1917 had formed their own religious organization, St. George's Church, which celebrates its 100th anniversary this year.
Fortunately for us, the founders of this church that had just hardly got here saw an opportunity to buy a building and create a Syrian Orthodox church, and that they did. And they did it at great sacrifice for many, many years.
They bought the land for $2,700, big bucks those days. Then the founding fathers went and took a mortgage out for $4,000 from the bank, paid off the mortgage to the Huguenots, and with the rest of the money, put up the iconostats and changed the interior of the church.
At the time, the church, for some reason, was not open, but we used to go at this family's home on Cross Street and hold services there. That was way back.
They used to hold church services in the YMCA, a building on Merrimack Street, or in somebody's living room at one time. But then when they bought the building, they held church services in the basement until upstairs was completed. 1917 was a dedication. That's when they brought the bishop in, they dedicated the church. I think their thought of the church was to keep the community together and bring up the children in a religious fashion so that they will grow up in the Orthodox faith.
And everybody that's come after them, they weren't Syrian, they were Jordanians, they were from all over the world, and they saw the vision that the founders had. And they worked very, very hard to keep this community going. And we had a lot of clergy that were involved with that, from Father Cosmo and Sarah, and I served in this altar with him, and I served with many subsequent priests after that, either as a council member or as a parishioner. But Father Lenny has been here now, I think it's 15 or 16 years, the longest serving pastor our church has ever had.
Growing up, I was always very involved in the church, as my parents were and my grandparents. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, used to say to me, "I wish before I closed my eyes I'd see you as a priest." It was not until she passed away in 1989 that I really started to think heavily about, going into the priesthood. Went through seminary, 3 years of seminary, and the day after graduation in 1995, May 21st, I was ordained a priest by His Eminence Metropolitan Philip at St. George in Norwood. And then I was assigned here in 2001. I've been here, I'm in my 16th year. It's truly been a blessing because this community, it's small, but it's a family. We all look out for one another.
I don't consider I'm an immigrant. When I came to this church, it was like my home, and it's still my home.
I sang as a little girl right there in that spot, and there's probably about 6 little girls that we sang in the choir, if that's what you want to call it at the time. And then I just kind of fell into it when I was a little girl, and they needed someone to help out, and before I knew it, there I was, forever. And the years went by. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed every single bit of it. I directed some wonderful young people, and most of the people never read music. We had a very nice choir, nice relationships, and never regretted 1 minute of it.
I remember when I was a kid, we used to come to church, and there were 2 trays that were passed out. One was for the priest, and one was for the church. That's why they put that little mat in there. So when you dropped a nickel in, you couldn't hear it. And the priest knew who was giving him a nickel or who was giving him a dollar bill.
Well, as far as I know, my family's been involved in the church as long as they've been in the city of Lowell. And I think they came to Lowell in 1927, so it was probably 10 years after this church was established. But my grandfather, his brother, my father, all chanted in this church at one time or another. And he introduced me to chanting in the church, and he introduced my daughter and my son as well into chant in the Orthodox Church.
His name was Joseph Garib, and he was a chanter for 55 years. And I never knew what church was like without my dad chanting right here behind me.
There would be 3 chanters over on this side of the church. There was another chanter stand on the opposite side of the church, and there was times we might have had 6 chanters during a service at one time. And the purpose of that was they would sing antiphonally, which is anti-sound, opposites. They would rotate one side to the other. You would have the head chanter, Joe Garib, would start, and then someone from the other side would sing the next verse, and then it would go back and forth.
Church is a dialogue between choir and chanters and the priest. And the choir's role in the church is to enhance and worship and minister to the parishioners through the beauty of music.
And just as important as the singing, they're also a reader. So the priest has a lot of things that he reads or intones. That's when he's kind of singing, kind of talking. But the chanters have to be very good speakers. They need to be sure that they're not just reading words off a page, but telling the story behind those words. You have to not only pray on your own behalf, but you're helping the people who aren't up there chanting. You're praying for them as well.
One time at our society we had not many, maybe 10 people on the thing. The church, we had in our treasury, we had $17. We decided that we were going to have the church painted on $17. So they went out, a few went out to everywhere they can, selling tickets. We have one couple that was Minnie Scaff and Millie Scaff. They'd go to bar rooms, and the bar rooms used to be bar rooms then. They'd go selling tickets until we ended up painting the whole church. All we had was $17. We really worked hard. Everything we did, we worked hard. We made a lot of money for this church. Of course, it was badly needed. It was spent right away, but we did do a lot of work for this church.
It was, and originally this church was people from Syria. And now, in the last 100 years, we have people from Jordan, we have people from all over the Middle East, we have them from Europe that have come to this little community. And as we look back on it, anybody that's been around here for a long time will tell you it's an amazing story of the perseverance of people that wanted to have a community where they could go and be comforted by people from their own background. But as we know, we live in a country now, you have to assimilate and you have to bring other people in.
We've seen a lot of people come, we've seen a lot of people go. People have married outside of the church, have moved on to other areas, and we've seen an influx of people coming from the Middle East, especially during the sad situation in Syria, in Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan. And I have to say that our parish has welcomed them with open arms. And it's not about, are you from the Middle East? It's about what can we do to help you. And that's what I'm very, very proud of this community.
Our choir was very active, not only in the church singing, but we did a lot of social work. We did Santa funds, We did Christmas caroling to different people's homes and nursing homes. Years ago, when they used to have the orphanages, we actually would take some of the children from the orphanages and we would entertain them with luncheons.
It's very important here. I mean, all you have to do is come to one of the luncheons we have, and you'll never leave here hungry, let me tell you. And I guess it's just the love everybody has for one another that they want to share and break bread with their friends and family. And when I say family, I don't mean blood relatives. I mean the friends we've had over the years. Sometimes it's closer than family. So it's Sunday morning is what we do on Sunday morning. We get up, we get ready, and we come to church, and that's it. You meet people that agree with you and they don't agree with you, but in the end, there's only one God, and we all do this for God. I mean, like when I make the bread, I don't do it for me, I do it because of God and how He's blessed me and my family.
The church has survived for years and years, and I think it will continue to survive. And that's through the work of the people and the hard work of the people. And the fact that people are not afraid to go out and work for this church. And the church itself has never changed. The beauty of this church has always been like this, and it always will be. And it'll always be thanks to the people of this church and for our forefathers that built this church and brought it to where it is. And we are the survivors of these people, these immigrants that came and worked very hard for this church.
Most of us have known each other for generations, some 4 or 5 generations. So it really, I don't look at the church as people I go to church with. They're extended family, and I really like that.
Certainly we're looking forward to our 100th anniversary celebration. I think it's going to be awesome, and you know, the legacy that our forefathers established for us, and now that this generation is picking up and God willing is going to pass on to their children and grandchildren.
I can't wait till that night to see how everything's been pulled together and all the memories and all the people that have come through this church. That's what I'm hoping for, that some of them that we haven't seen in a while will come back and celebrate and bring their happy memories with us.
For a community to be around 100 years and to still survive, and hopefully it's going to survive for another 100 years, long after we're gone.
St. George's Antiochian Orthodox Church. After a century of great works, the church's identity as a vibrant center of spiritual and civic life remains strong today. The structure remains firm, as does the community's commitment to ensuring that the legacy of its founding members continues. It is a living monument to the dedication of thousands who have been parishioners of the church in the past, educating, sharing, helping people preserve their culture and their Orthodox faith. This is the mission of St. George's that is enduring.